Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Hello and welcome. My name is Jedley, and this is Reading with Your Kids, coming to you with love from the historic neighborhood of Reedville, tucked into the southwest corner of beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. Our mission here at Reading with Your Kids is all about connection, connecting kids with books, families with each other, and communities through the power of story. Every week we're joined by incredible authors and creators whose work lights up kids' lives. You can support this mission by spreading the word, share the show with your friends, give us a shout out at school, and let folks know that they can find us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can also find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, CastBox, Audible, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. This episode was one of the most fun that I have produced ever. First up, Phaea Crede returns with her illustrator, Jen Hill. They are celebrating Princess Battle Royale. It really is a fun show. You are going to love it. I bet you are going to be laughing along with me. And later on, Leslea Wahl will be joining us. Again, she is here to celebrate her new middle grade novel. It's called A Summer to Treasure. Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. The Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. We are in for a treat right now. We have the author and illustrator of Princess Battle Royale first, coming to us from beautiful Massachusetts, the author Phaea Crede. Phaea, how are you?
I'm awesome, Jed, and it's actually Royale.
Royale? Oh,
yes.
Excuse me.
No, that's okay.
On the end. And Phaea, I usually see Phaea dressed as a pizza. However, today she is dressed like a character in Princess Battle Royale, like a gorgeous lady of wrestling.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's what I'm going for today.
And joining us from Brooklyn, the illustrator, Jen Hill. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hello. I'm great.
And, I have to, both of these women have huge smiles on their face. And so and we've been laughing ever since we first connected. I just know that Princess Battle Royale is just a laugh riot.
I hope so. Yeah, I think it's action-packed. The words are funny, but I gotta tell you, the illustrations are so funny and so good. I really feel like dream team material right here between me and Jen, and I'm so proud to have done this project with her because it is really funny and very violent.
And
yeah, it's a gift when you get to laugh while you're drawing. Like when you're coming up with ideas because the script is so great, I'm like cracking myself up.
Awesome.
So it was such a joy to do this book.
Well, when I read the description that Phaea sent with the request for the interview, she said, "Gorgeous ladies of wrestling meet the Brothers Grimm." And I'm like, oh, we have to talk about this book.
Yeah, that was my pitch originally. I think it feels so natural to me, the combination, but I don't think it's ever been done before. If it has, then no, we don't want to talk about that. But, yeah.
Well, it may have been done on an adult wrestling show at some point, but probably not in a picture book.
Probably not, yeah.
So why don't you start and just give us an idea of Battle Royale? Who are we going to meet in this mixed magical arts chaos.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a cast of thousands, which is what I usually write. So we have the main characters are some classic fairy tale princesses. We have Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel. We have the Little Mermaid. We have Kaguya, who's a Japanese fairy tale princess, and we have Badroulbadour, who is the original name of Aladdin's Lady Love. So they're all battling the big villain, or the heel of the story, who's the Swan Princess from Swan Lake, who was a late addition. And then Little Red Riding Hood is the towel girl, and she has a big moment in the story as well. So it's all these fairy tale people that we know a lot of us are very familiar with. Maybe a couple that'll be new additions we can learn about, but it's mostly like, it's very familiar material, but like in a wrestling ring.
I love it. And Jen, did you have a whole lot of fun drawing these characters, getting all beat up and messed up? And
oh my gosh, it's insane. Can I just tell you this? Look at all these guys.
Yeah.
Look at all these guys. Like, so for you listeners out there, I'm showing the crowd that I had so much fun putting every single possible fairy tale character I could even think of, and then some, into the crowd. And I also learned Badroulbadour and I always miss in my mind. It's like Kaguya. Yeah. Like
probably
I was doing all this research into like trying to figure out how to, like, some of them I just like came up with off the bat, but some of them I really wanted to like incorporate actual, facts and not go way off scripts. But this guy, of course, the gnome, I don't know what he is, announcer. He's a green guy. He has fur. He's covered in fur. He might be mean. He might be nice. I don't know. But he has pointy ears. So great. He belongs in the fairy book.
When I wrote the narration, it didn't even occur to me you create a character for that. So when I saw that I've been thinking of him as a troll or them, who knows what they're, but I'm like, oh, that's the troll. But a good kind that narrates the whole story. And I think he's so pretty and I love him.
He cracks me up. Sorry.
Phaea, you were mentioning that the swan from Swan Lake is the heel. And if people aren't familiar, heel is the term for bad guy.
Yes.
And I had my son was chosen to play Herod in the Easter pageant at his, for school play or Christmas pageant. And I remember beforehand, I saw him in the hallway and he was all nervous. He's really, really kind of freaking out. Bobby, I don't know what to do. And I go, Chris, Herod, he was a heel. Just play him as a heel. And he went out and talking about knocking it out of the park. The kid went out, the microphone wasn't working and he threw it down. He goes, I don't need no microphone.
Perfect.
He's just screaming at this.
Great. Herod would be a good heel if we ever did that kind of picture book. But I thought you were going to say Jesus Christ Superstar. And he's got that wonderful musical number. And I was like, yes, that's a great part. But just being a baddie. I think being a baddie is good. And I love like having a baddie be such a big character. In the story, I based a lot of the trash talking that the Swan does off of Randy Savage, of course, who went from heel to face. Face is what we call the good characters. And I think the ultimate face of this book is Kaguya. She's definitely she's the crowd favorite. And she gets to do a move that's real called moonsault, which is one of my favorite wrestling moves where you do a backflip off the top ropes. Everything else is made up. Yeah, that's a real move.
I didn't know that was real.
Then we'll go.
I just made it up.
You did it perfectly.
Oh, whoa.
You did it perfectly.
That's like blowing my mind.
Yeah, we'll go wrestling. We'll go, maybe not together, but we'll go see wrestling. And usually there's like one, at least a match, and it's like the greatest thing that's ever existed. It's so cool.
And it's especially crazy when a guy that's 300 or 400 pounds does it.
Yes.
It's like,
yeah. These are athletes. That's what I love about wrestling. Wrestling feels like play. Wrestling, like professional wrestling, is just like, we don't like each other because we used to be best friends and now we're not best friends, which is like very like how little kids think. And I think it translates so well to just to little kid books, but also these like princess characters.
So, Phaea, it's obvious that you're a fan on some level of sports entertainment. I grew up going to the matches at Boston Garden with my grandmother. Hulk Hogan would come out, Bruno Sammartino, and they'd rip off the shirt, and my grandmother would go, "Oh, Hulkster." And it's a lot of fun, and it is, as you're describing, Phaea, just, this kind of, they're acting like 3-year-olds.
Yes.
And what was it when that idea came to you, when that bell rang in your head for this
Ding,
to
ding,
start?
ding. Yes.
What was that like with you running around the house going, "Yes, I got it," and moonsault and princess and swans?
Yeah. It was like, and coming to the ring, a great idea. So I got the idea playing with my daughter. We were playing Barbies with a couple princess dolls thrown in. And I think she had this elaborate game that we would do. It would be like fashion show, but then also they'd be competing to be warriors. And so we were doing sort of the warrior section of the play. And I had a Rapunzel doll, and I was just making up all these moves for Rapunzel, like the hair whip and tying with the hair. And I was like, this is so easy to map onto like fighting moves and wrestling moves, which is something, I think my kids love wrestling each other. We used to like sort of like a bed, like a parent's bed is a perfect wrestling ring. So a lot of kids, I think, do this sort of like wrestling moves. It's like this original play thing that we can like do in a safe way. So everything sort of like started forming in my head, and really it became a game of like, what princess with what move. Like there was no plot. It was just kind of like, okay, so we've got, Sleeping Beauty, sleeper holds. We've got Little Mermaid. She's got a tail. What can I do with the tail? So the plot kind of was like secondary, maybe even like tertiary to the sort of developing the characters or their abilities even. Their personalities came way down the process. But I did feel like it's something that I also, I was not a huge wrestling fan, but I had this idea and I thought I need to get into wrestling to understand really what's going on. I knew the basics. I knew Hulk Hogan. I knew Macho Man. I knew some of that stuff. Roddy Piper. Jen and I were talking about Roddy Piper, but I started watching not WWE, but the AEW, All Elite Wrestling, because my friend Tommy Ray, shout out to Tommy, recommended it, and it blew my mind because it was everything I love in entertainment. It was like heightened. It was flamboyant. It was like drag, but athletic. We could scream together. We can yell together. I knew that it was maybe not real in one sense, but in some sense, like they're really doing this. Those are the athletes are really doing this. Especially the female athletes that are part of AEW are so incredible and funny, so funny, and I felt like laughing and enjoying this violence in a wholesome way. I was like, this is such a perfect quagmire of ridiculous things that make me happy. And I think other kids, I just labeled myself a kid, but I think children and other adults that are children at heart will like get into it, sort of understand the silliness, but the I don't know, it feels important to win a belt. It feels very important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. I love, like I said, I've been a fan. I listen to a lot of the old podcasts that talk about the old school, and it is very, very real in the sense that these are athletes doing incredible moves, and that many of them get injured. But it is also scripted and is predetermined, and the weird thing is they try to keep that what they call it kayfabe, and keep that a secret for so long. Yeah. And then when they finally said, we're just going to pull the curtain back and let people know what's going on, it just exploded.
Yeah. Because the story, we want the storytelling. Storytelling is something people love. That's why, probably Jen and I do books, because we like telling stories and people
That's right.
So trying to figure out, what's going to happen from the action is I think that's part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
So Jen, I asked Phaea what it was like when she got that idea. What was it like for you when you first read the manuscript?
I was like, yes, because I've been doing, and I love painting. I love historical quaint books. I love Victorian things, but I also love wacky stuff and things that make me laugh and are off the wall and zany, and I haven't been able to illustrate anything like that in a very long time. The books that I write are like that, but I haven't worked on personal projects in a while. So when this came to me, I was like jumping for joy because I got to do the thing that I love most to do, like the thing that comes most naturally to me. The reason I got into this was my mom would read books to us. My brother and I were twins when we were like, every night, like when we were 3, 4, 5, 6, and favorites were George and Martha, James Marshall. And they just cracked us up. And like my favorite memories are from those nights sitting there laughing until it hurt. And I still love those books. They still crack me up. I've got all of them. So, I just wanted to make funny pictures. And I guess like secondarily, I want to provide that experience for the next generation of people and also indulge my personal whims.
Is it what do they say? If you enjoy your job, you never have to work.
That's right. Never working a day or all
Something
night
like
long in your life. And I have been known to do all-nighters. It's true. Out of pure joy, which is really demented, but it's true.
You were telling us that you spent lots of time here in Boston in neighborhoods that are up all night.
I sure did.
The only
Except
neighborhood.
Boston closes at like 1.
I was going to say, maybe
it's the city that sleeps.
Yeah, we're like, oh, the bar's open till 11, but the subway stops at 10:50. Is that okay?
Yeah. Foley's is open.
Yeah.
Well, I lived in East Boston in my 20s, and there were a number of clubs that stayed open way past 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yep. There was a place in Chinatown we could go, and like they would serve you really bad beer in like elegant teacups at like 3 a.m. I remember that.
There was a coffee shop by the Capitol building.
On Com Ave.
No, maybe on Com Ave too, but there was one by the Capitol building that I used to go to at 3 a.m. because I'm not like a partier, but I think my friend Lindsay and I were like being intellectuals, and we would go there, have tea at like 2 a.m. That was pretty thrilling. So there were places, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Phaea, when you first approached and pitched this to your agent or to the publisher, any pushback? Like, oh, this is too violent. We can't do this for a picture book.
I think my biggest worry was like, well, it's funny because I didn't have any pushback, which was kind of remarkable. Like, this is one of the easiest sales that I made. Like, it just like literally sailed through. Like, it was like, this is I don't even remember like what the notes were. They were like, okay, 2-book deal, this one and another one. Like, there wasn't even any like conversation about it because it was just like in my mind a perfect book. So why would we talk about it? But this might be revisionist history. I remember at the time being like, this book is so wild. And I think the first draft of it, there was no heel. So it was just the princesses battling each other. So there was like, no plot except Little Red Riding Hood, who like has her moment at the end. And I wanted it to be a book about how like people, like elitism, like when you're a princess, you can wrestle, but when you're Little Red Riding Hood, you can't. And I had like, had this sort of high level opinion about that. And then Anika, our amazing editor, was like, what if that's not the main focus and we make it, give yourself a heel, give them somebody to fight against, which is such a better book. But it did change significantly, and the element is still there. But there was no worry about the violence. And I guess I've been playing it up, but it is also very gentle. It's very play-based, stuff that like I would throw my kid around the way that the book illustrates. But I was more worried about having these crowd scenes, having, like I said before, a cast of thousands. So when I finally talked to Jen and she was like, you said that you like that, I felt so relieved because part of me was like, Jen is going to hate me. Because I'm just like a crowd of 1,000 people, all these princesses. But no, I guess it's fun to write, but apparently fun to draw too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm a detail, like once I get started, I can't stop. I'm overkill person. Like I did this book about Marie Curie, and like I would do like the same crazy like scientific setup, like 10 different ways.
Wow.
And in paint, like I'm like, I don't know, like what's the word? Like when you are like punishing yourself, but it's like, I'm compulsive. I love like, I get so wrapped up in the detail. It's almost like when you're a little kid and you're like playing with your dolls in your dollhouse and you're like constructing a story at the same time and you have all these characters, like it becomes like time stops. You're just in it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I revise my stories like 80 times. So it's definitely like, I can't imagine drawing, and like, I'm just not artistic in that way. So I'm so like, I'm in awe of it, but I do like, I don't get precious about words necessarily, but I'll have to throw a whole draft out if one line changes, because everything leads up to it, everything. But like, so most of my stories go through like, 20 to 80 revisions, which is fine. It's fun.
That's good to hear, because so do mine. And people think I'm crazy. But honestly, if you are serious about you're serious about like getting the best story out of the idea that you possibly can. Yeah. I think, it's rare. Sometimes I used to write songs. I played in a band when I lived in Massachusetts, like just a little band. Nobody you've ever heard of, in case you wanted to know. Anyway, I would like sit there all night with my 4-track and like writing these, and sometimes the song would come like fully formed and I would just like bang it out and it would be in there. But then sometimes I just like have a riff that I really liked, and then you work on it for months. This book came out, like the characters just came out, everything came out. The writing set me up so well for like, my imagination didn't have to like do a lot of the hard work. It just did the fun work. And then there was also I was researching like wrestling moves and looking at a lot of wrestling videos and drawing those things, and then kind of like applying them to each scene, and then figuring out the camera angle, like this one's from below, this one's from above, like we should get a close up here and stuff like that. It's like being a director, I guess, of like, film.
I think so too.
Jen, as you were speaking, it sounds like this would be a perfect graphic novel.
Oh, yeah. It would be a fantastic graphic novel. If anyone had 3 years, they should make this into a graphic novel, because it would be a lot of drawing.
I mean, I'll write it. You draw it.
Yeah. I mean, there could be chronicles of this.
Yeah.
With
I would love
a different
to do more
bad guy every time. Thumbelina needs to get in there.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah,
just saying.
It's like an instant world that kind of developed itself because we took two things that already existed and put them together. So I feel like I want to do a TV show. That's my dream. Is like do a cartoon of this. I don't even know how cartoons work with children anymore.
The world of it. I love it. It's so fun because you can just put anything in there. It's like anything that's like not reality can go in there. Like talking flowers. Like, I don't know.
Yes, let's play Alice of Wonderland. Alice of Wonderland. I guess she moved there in my mind.
She's in there. She's in there.
Alice
like,
of
there's
Wonderland?
like, what else is in there? There's like the Billy Goat's Gruff.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, gnomes.
The gingerbread man.
Oh yeah, the gingerbread man's in there.
Yeah.
There's like the Nutcracker guys. There's like dragons and jesters and Humpty Dumpty. There's Frankenstein. There's a Cyclops.
This is like a secondary thing once you've read it through, to like look for all the hidden joy in it. All the little, there's the Nutcracker. That is so fun. Every time I look at it, I see new things.
Yeah. There's so many guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I love about children's books, is that when you're reading and, you hear the parents, I have to read this book again. It's like when you're reading a book like this again, you see something else. You just look, and there's so much to see there. You can't take it in. And Jen, this is one of the things we encourage a lot of families to do, is to take a picture walk through a book before you start reading the text. Maybe even cover up the text if your kid is reading, but just go through and look at the pictures and go, what in the world do you think is going on here?
I love that.
I highly encourage that. I actually find myself doing that whenever I read to audiences, like kids. A lot of the times I'll start paraphrasing my book for some reason. I don't know why I do this. Hey, did you ever do this?
Oh,
it's
yeah. I'm just like,
I'll just start being like, and then they went, boom. And then she was like, oh no. And then like, I'll just point, like, you kind of can't help but start acting it out in like a different way. Because I guess like that's what we did when we were kids too, right? Like when we were learning to read before we could actually read, we would look at pictures and like try to make sense out of what was happening and describe what was happening as if we had written it. So, yeah.
One of the things I love to ask authors is what kind of conversations do you think families can have? But I'm thinking as a family is reading Princess Battle Royale, they're not going to be doing any talking. They're going to be on that big parent bed, and they're going to be doing like my daughter did when she was 3 years old, which is climb up on top of the headboard and come down with it, come down on my belly.
Exactly. Yeah. Double kick. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of bonding to be had from this. I think it's also like what I'm hoping that this might get people into pro wrestling because I think it's, but also like I think it can empower people to look at some of these classic female characters and see them in a different way, in a different powerful way, or a different angle on that. But also create their own wrestling characters. Like, I think coming up with little personas is such a fun version of play. And instead of, I mean, you can definitely be these princesses. I think they're awesome. But maybe like a whole family could come up with their own versions of what the kind of wrestler they want to be. What's their costume? What's their signature move? Like, we didn't even talk about entry music. Like,
right.
But I mean, like, that could be part of it too, I think. But there's also something about all the princesses tell Little Red Riding Hood she's just not big enough, she's not good enough to wrestle. And she knows she is. And by the end, she saves the day. So there's still some social emotional learning. You can tell the teachers that. It's in there. But it's about like not underestimating people, which I think is, a lot of people do to themselves first. They underestimate themselves first, and then it sort of goes around. And I think adults do it a lot, and then we sort of teach our kids to do it. So like books like this, I hope will sort of undo some of that, while being really silly, because I think silliness, I get all my messages from silliness and comedy and humor. That's how I, like when I was a kid, that's just like Jen, like those are the books that I loved. So I'm just hoping it's going to change the world,
just a little change.
A little thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll tell you this one last wrestling related story. In my oftentimes misspent youth, I worked one season for the Red Sox, and I was a security on the third base side of the luxury suites.
Nice.
Oh. And one of the owners of the suites comes out one night and he said, "Hey, are you a wrestling fan?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Sergeant Slaughter's downstairs. Can I bring him up to my suite?" And I said, "As long as I get an autograph from my grandmother." Mm-hmm. And so he went down. Sergeant Slaughter came up. He goes, "What's your grandmother's address?" And took it down. He goes in, having a great time. They came out, and of course, in the suites, there's lots of great food and adult beverages. And so at the end of the game, he comes out. Now, I didn't mention, I'm in a full leg cast from my toe.
Oh, no.
Hip. And Sergeant Slaughter comes out, and he goes, "We should take a picture together." And the owner of the suite had a Polaroid. I goes, "Okay." And he said, "Put me in a headlock." And little 5'6" me looked up at 6'7". I go, "How are we going to do that?" And he bends down. And I go, "Okay, well, this is stupid." I put my arm around his head, and he picked me up over his head like I was a baby, holding me up on the roof of Fenway Park.
That's insane. But the cast, that's a heavy cast.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a heavy cast, and I was not light by any means.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird because I just literally watched Rear Window the other night. The guy has the cast,
Oh my God. The walls of reality are starting to. Ooh, but was he dressed as Sergeant Slaughter, or was he dressed?
No. He was dressed as a civilian. And to his credit, because he's still around, he sent my grandmother a package of great pictures and autographs and all that good stuff. So he was pretty great.
Aw.
Grandmas love wrestling. Grandmas love wrestling.
Yes. Yeah. I could talk to you guys forever, but I have another interview coming up, and so we should tell everybody first, Phaea, where can we go to find out more about you and Princess Battle Royale?
You can go right to my website at phaeacrede.com, and that's spelled PHAEACREDE.com. Everything is there, and everything about the book and our upcoming events, which will be in September. I think we're trying to do September and not August, even though the book is out on August 19th, which you can pre-order now.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Jen, where can we go to learn more about you?
I am at www.jenhillstudio.com. That's JEN with one N, HILLSTUDIO. And I'm also on Instagram sometimes at Jen Hill Studio. And I'm not really on anything else these days except IRL.
But that's the best RL.
Yeah. No URL, IRL.
IRL.
Wait, is that a thing, or did you just make that up?
I just made it up.
That's so good. Oh
Let's
my God.
do a book about that.
That's so
Back in the day, no URL.
Only IRL.
That could be a great song.
Oh my God, that's
That's
it's all
what
coming together.
We're on it.
Sergeant Slaughter will do a verse.
You know what, Jed? This is amazing because you just unlocked so much creativity.
That's
that.
my job. That's my job here. We've had hey, my friends, you have to let me, if there's an event happening in Boston, please let me know. We'll come down and we'll wrestle.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you.
Booksmith. So, we've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Princess Battle Royale. Our guests have been Phaea Crede and Jen Hill. And ladies, thank you so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jed.
Are you looking for a creative way to bond with your kids? Let me tell you all about Drawing with Your Kids, the ultimate destination for artistic adventures. Join us as we dive into the wonderful world of children's books with renowned illustrators guiding you step by step. From beloved characters to whimsical scenes, unleash your imagination and create cherished memories together. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just picking up a pencil, there's something for everyone at Drawing with Your Kids. Please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of the page and let the creativity flow. Drawing with Your Kids, where every stroke brings stories to life. Join us right now from beautiful Colorado. Our guest is returning to the show. She's a familiar voice here on Reading with Your Kids. She's here to celebrate her new middle grade novel. It's called A Summer to Treasure. And we treasure our guest, Leslea Wahl. Hey, Leslea, how are you?
Great. It's always so fun to be on with you.
Great to have you back. Leslea has been really involved in the shows over the years. She gave us great tips on books to read with our kids. Also part of the Catholic Teen Authors Group. Did I get the name right?
Catholic Teen Books.
Catholic Teen Books Group. And every Christmas and Easter season, they come together to create an original short story for us. And so it's great to have you back on for any reason, but I'm especially excited to celebrate your new middle grade novel.
Oh, well, thanks for letting me share about it. I'm really excited about this one. It's perfect adventure for summer.
Who are we going to meet in this book?
So this is a new family, and it's a little different than my other books, honestly, because my other ones usually have some romance and things like that. This one is actually more of a family and sibling relationships. Oh. So it's about a family, 3 teens, a middle school and then 2 high school teens, their grandmother and parents, and they're on a month-long road trip through the southwestern states of the United States. And the grandmother pushed for this trip, and the teens have no interest in wanting to go on it, but they're trying to figure out why grandma insisted. Is she sick? Does she have some kind of mystery that she's trying to uncover from her past? So as the story goes along, we find out more about that mystery, and it's a bit of a treasure hunt. And it also, like I said, deals with the relationships of the siblings. And I touch also on a bit of technology and how that kind of, especially for teens, but really for everybody, steals our focus away from engaging in the moments that we have in our life with our families.
Yeah. When you were laying out that this is a story about parents, grandmother, and 3 teens on a road trip, that's almost a great recipe for a spooky middle grade novel. just having that dynamic. Everybody locked in the car for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you might get me started on a new one for that. That's fun.
You always seem to love exploring relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I especially love, I do it with all different ages, but especially with an older generation and teens. I feel like you can learn so much, and teens kind of like don't think about older people in their lives or grandparents and what they've gone through and the interesting things they have in their past, or the knowledge and that they can pass on. So I kind of like to explore that through the fun stories.
Yeah. Well, we've celebrated intergenerational relationships a lot here in the podcast. I think they can be so valuable. I know myself, my relationship that I had with my grandparents, especially my grandmother, was fantastic from the time I was a little kid all the way through getting married. And it is something I treasured. And now, as I'm older than my grandmother was, I cherish the relationship I have with my niece. And I do think they're just, it's so wonderful for both, I think, the older person and the younger person. We have so much to share with each other.
Yes, exactly. So it's always so fun. One of the fun little things in the book that the family does, the grandma has this great idea that they should take turns sharing about something in their lives that the others don't know about. Of course, the teens are like not excited about that, but it's fun because the grandma and the parents, share something from their past, and the kids are shocked to learn something about them, and so it kind of gets them thinking a little bit about who these people are. Because especially like a grandma or a parent, you know them as that role, and you don't know much about their past sometimes. So it's a neat thing, and hopefully they'll get some families discussing that as well, and some great family time for that.
Yeah. Was there anything in particular that that inspired this book? I know you have kids. Did a past road trip kind of stir up memories?
Absolutely, of course. You know me well. Yeah, it was actually a road trip we took back before COVID, so it was like 2018, and my husband and I and our three teens were, two were in college and one was still home. And we were, going through the Southwest. And this was a trip that I had actually taken with my grandparents, like when I was a teenager. So it was kind of interesting going through to see the same sites, with a different generation, different group. And, the Southwest is just so beautiful with the red canyons and everything. And I thought, this is kind of a fun place for a story setting. And then all the different things kept coming together. And as usual, I add a few little snippets from our family trip and the trip I had with my grandparents. So it's always kind of fun to add those little elements. It makes it special for me and like our family.
Well, I agree with you. The Southwest is absolutely gorgeous. I had an epic cross-continent drive a few years back, Boston to Orlando to St. Louis to Los Angeles, and then back home again. And that's the Southwest part of our nation is just spectacular. There's so much. I was blown away by just how vast the country is. And there were stretches of highway where you could see in every direction for hundreds of miles, and there was nothing. And I remember coming up to an exit, and I was like, where did this exit lead to? Because I'm looking, there's nothing around. Why is there an exit here?
I know, it really is so vast. And my son was just chatting about that with us this past week. It was like, there's really only one way to explore it, and that is through a road trip. Because, there's so much, and there's not a lot of big towns, big cities around. So you really have to do it that way. And there's so many beautiful national parks. I mean, there are all around the country, but in the Southwest, it was inspiring. And in fact, speaking of other national parks, I'm hoping that this will become a series. I have some other ideas, and this family will be exploring different national parks around the country. So this was set in the Southwest, but we can, explore some of the other amazing, beautiful places in our country.
Wonderful, wonderful. What spots in the Southwest did you visit in this book?
Yeah, so they start in Santa Fe, and the beautiful Loretto Chapel there, which is the miraculous staircase. And then they travel over to Sedona, passing through the Painted Desert and Petrified Forest, and then make a stop at the Grand Canyon and on to Bryce Canyon, which was always my favorite as a child, and then to Lake Powell is where it finishes.
Awesome. You kind of skipped over the first one, the miraculous staircase. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so it's a little bit more about in there, but yes, it's this staircase at the Church of Loretto, Chapel of Loretto in Santa Fe. And way back when, like I think in the 1800s or something, the sisters, the nuns, had built this chapel, but there wasn't enough room for a proper staircase up to the choir loft. And so there was just this, ladder they were using, and they were, worried about this because someone was going to hurt themselves. And they kind of were praying about what to do. They were out of funds and so forth, I believe. And miraculously, gentleman knocks on their door one day and offers to build the staircase. So they let him, and they didn't watch or anything, and all suddenly he just disappeared. But there's this amazing spiral staircase, and to this day, you can look it up. They can't quite figure out how it's built because there's not the right supports. The wood is from like the Middle East, and nobody in the town, gave lumber to this gentleman and so forth. So the story is they believe it is St. Joseph came and built the staircase for them. So, yeah, so it's kind of a cool thing because, even now they, like I said, not sure like how this was built and so forth. And so that was one of the things the teens in the story are kind of reflecting on and like, just puzzled by, and it starts to make them think a little bit more about their faith too.
That would be, talk about a great way to start a conversation about faith. Mm-hmm. Just taking a visit to something that just can't be explained, and just like, so what if? What do you think? Yeah,
it's so true because especially with teens, they just are kind of reluctant to discuss these things and so forth. So if you can bring it up in either through a book of some sort, like or like you said, some place like that is just like kind of an amazing and a strange story behind it. It gets everyone talking, and they have to kind of think a little bit more about what they believe, and hopefully they start researching some of it on their own and not just go with what they're told. And so that's, I think, a wonderful way to strengthen faith, or even to explore it, and to because everyone does have questions, and that's how you deepen your faith, is to not blindly just go along with what your family tells you, but to kind of explore it and have these moments to yourself that you come to realize it on your own.
Yeah, I agree. I think if your faith, and there are a lot of people, a lot of parents that are really fearful of when their kids ask questions about their religion, about their faith, about the church. And I think if your faith can't stand up to questions, maybe you don't have the right faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very true. And so, especially when kids are asking questions, it might be a good time that you need to, be thinking, kind of doing some research on your own. Because I think a lot of you, we have a faith, you grow up with it and you believe it, but then it's really hard to try to explain it either to a family or to friends who question you. So I think that is important to know enough that you can explain it and use your own story, which also goes back to this story of how the grandma explain some of the things, because we all have our own faith journey. And if you're able to explain that to others, that can get them thinking and understand a little bit more too.
And I think, asking these questions, having these conversations is a great way for you to examine and understand your own faith.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's so true, because you have to kind of, like I said, understand it yourself and know why you're understanding it, not just jump into it. I shared before that I'm a convert to Catholicism, and at first, as many people who aren't Catholic or who also change, there's some strange concepts, and you're like, what is that about? So then you have to, it was good though, because my husband and I had to work through these and explore them on our own and together to really understand. And so I do try to bring in some of those elements. I feel like I have a wonderful opportunity and background in order to do that, because there are so many misconceptions and so forth. And so I like to kind of bring some of those up in a fun way through the story, so that people can start understanding that. In fact, one of the reviews for this book is one of my favorite reviews I've ever gotten. And don't remember the exact quote, but it was something about, it's a great Christian book. Even though it's written from a Catholic standpoint, you learn so much about what they believe or something like that. And I thought, well, that's great, because now it's getting them thinking of it in a different way. Something that they always thought of and it seemed odd. Now they're like, oh, maybe that isn't quite right. And maybe I'll have to look into that a little bit more.
What's one of the misconceptions that you explore in A Summer to Treasure?
Yeah, this one of the teens meets another teen, and the boy sees a necklace. She has a crucifix on her necklace, and says something, starts questioning her a little bit about the Catholic faith, and it says, one thing I always, I don't understand why, I hear you guys worship Mary. I don't get that. And she laughs, and she's like, that's ridiculous. What are you talking about? And then she realizes he's serious, and so she has to try to figure out how to kind of explain it. She said, well, in the Hail Mary, we're asking her for prayers. We're not praying to her. We're asking her to join us in our prayers to God. So just a little thing like that. So I try not to make it heavy, but just through a conversation and then move on. But so hopefully that helps.
Yes. I think there are a lot of Catholics who would need to have that conversation too.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Another thing in this book, there's some relics. And so that's kind of a new concept. It was a new concept to me years ago. And so, so I just enjoy bringing those in, but again, through a fun story that people will enjoy, but hopefully learn a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that, we were talking earlier about the miraculous staircase. I love that, people have their ideas and, well, maybe it was Joseph that did this, but no one is, out there with a baseball bat saying, you better believe it was St. Joseph, or, you're going to get it with this bat, or you're going to go to hell. It's just like, oh, it's maybe, who knows? It's a mystery. We don't know.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things in this world that we really don't know. People have theories and ideas and beliefs maybe, but, sometimes we just don't know. And so it's good to kind of think about it, though, and realize there are those moments in life that you're kind of like, I don't know. Is it, how does God do all these amazing things in our life?
Mm-hmm. Are there any misconceptions, either of people in the Catholic Church or outside looking in, that you would like to explore in a future book?
Oh, wow. That's a great one. I don't know. Sometimes these ideas just kind of come to me as I'm working on it. A new story I'm working on, I have one of the characters go into Adoration Chapel. So that's kind of a new thought for people too. They don't understand that and what we're doing with this, monstrance with the piece of bread in it, so little things. I'm sure others will come to me as I continue to write. Yeah.
I enjoy it. I'm curious. Do I love talking to people about their creative process. Do you have a kind of ritual before you sit down to write? Do you say a prayer before you write all the time? Do you sit down and kind of maybe do a rosary when you're trying to come up with an idea, or do these things just kind of come to you?
I try to pray beforehand, but often sometimes my mind just starts going and I kind of, but I do a daily rosary. And so in that, I'm always asking God to just help me guide my work, whether it's through speaking, through, interacting with my family, through writing, whatever. And so hopefully that will help. But I just usually just get an idea and sit down and go. I don't do an outline. A lot of authors do. And I just kind of wing it and start and called riding by the seat of my pants, I guess. And just you start, and it's always an adventure to me too, to see where the story goes. In fact, one of my favorite parts of writing is after I've written the whole story, I put it away for a little while and bring it back and go back through it. And I kind of forget some of the things that I've written. And sometimes that's like, oh, that wasn't good. Other times like, wow, I forgot about that. That's kind of fun. And so it's a fun process, but, so I do feel like the Holy Spirit guides me through the stories though. Cause, a lot of times it just kind of takes a veer a different way, or some kind of plot change or something happens. And it's like, oh, I don't know where that thought came from, but that is really fun.
I remember a conversation I had a few years back with author Nick Stone, and I had received an advanced copy and kind of quickly, scanned a few chapters, and I said, oh, this particular sentence really kind of inspired me. And I read the sentence to her, and she goes, I wrote that?
I know. It's funny because like in movies and TV shows, like the authors always remember every little thing that they've written. And I'm like, that's not happening. In fact, I was going back through the very first book that I wrote, The Perfect Blindside. I'm changing publishers right now. So I was going back through to update just a few little things that have changed so there were certain scenes that I had written originally that were cut, and vice versa, ones that were added. And I kind of forgot about some of that. And I was kind of like looking for one scene. And then I was like, oh, that's right. We did eliminate that one. And so it's kind of funny how you move on and you kind of forget the different parts. So I do enjoy going back and, revisiting my stories, just to keep them fresh. So when people ask me about them, I can be knowledgeable.
We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about A Summer to Treasure and find out more about Perfect Blindside and all of your great books.
Yeah, so my website is lesliewahl.com. Spelled a little different, but I'm sure it's in the show notes, or catholicteenbooks.com. You can find all of my books and all of the books from the other 16 authors that are on there. So.
Yeah. And are you working on any group projects over at Catholic Teen Books?
At the moment, we don't have any. We don't have a new anthology, and so we'll just have to get another prompt from you one of these days.
Oh, okay, that's a challenge. I'll take it. We've had a great time speaking to the author of A Summer to Treasure. It's a new middle grade novel from our guest, Leslea Wahl. Leslea, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Oh, thanks for letting me share about this book. I always appreciate chatting with you.
We are so glad that you spent part of your day with us here at Reading with Your Kids. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please pass it on. Share the link, leave a 5-star review, and hit that subscribe button so you can join us for the next episode. If you haven't already, please check out readingwithyourkids.com. It is the hub for all things Reading with Your Kids, including how to become a guest, join our Certified Read program, and explore amazing new books. I want to give a heartfelt thanks to our great guest today, of course, Leslea Wahl. Please check out A Summer to Treasure. And I want to thank Phaea Crede and Jen Hill, the creators of Princess Battle Royale, for having one of the most fun interviews I've had in an awfully long time. I also want to thank my incredible team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Elle Glassman, Dante Greco. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, but most of all, we want to thank you. You are helping to shape a kinder, smarter world every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.